In stream, that isn't ink. No, it's stone. We are adventuring with our friends today. Oh, welcome to our first foray into what will be, I hope, a very epic adventure of some pretty fun times. We have Nerd Hype. Hi, Little Tails. So the last time we were on stream talking about our D&D adventure, we were sort of introduced to our characters. And I think it would probably be a fabulous idea to quickly revisit and introduce everybody on stream again. As last time we didn't have cameras. And I think this time we have a little bit more development, I think, in everybody's characters, and we've had a little bit more time to sort of noodle over backstory. We've talked a little bit more about where they're from in the world, given a little bit more idea about where we're starting our adventure. And I think everybody's kind of given a little bit more thought to their backstory, and whether or not they will be sharing that, or how much they'll be sharing with everybody is completely up to them. But at least given their character's name, their race, their class, and maybe a little bit about their characters. So what you see on the stream right now is just an introduction kind of to our universe, each of our characters, and then a program that we're using called Fantasy Grounds, which is sort of a turn-based system that allows us to manage combat, story, NPCs, stuff. Little Tails is really excited for this. Well, I'm glad you're here. This is going to be fun. So why don't we start? Why don't we start with Mag, since he's waving so furiously? That seemed like a volunteer. Yes, who are you? Why don't you give us an introduction of your character? You can share as much or as little about their background, maybe race, class, and
okay.
Yeah.
I'll give a quick rundown. Yeah. So I'm Mag, and I will be playing Raffle Mao, the birdfolk rogue, who has had extensive training as a fighter, but things happened and is now a level 1 rogue. That there's not a whole lot to Raffle at first glance. Tiny little birdfolk carrying a giant sword on his back.
Nice.
Sword is covered in nicks and bruises and all sorts of dings, but there's not a scratch on Raffle.
Love it. And let me see, I'll pull up a little window here also of our, I'll add a window of our browser source of our map up on the map here. Linnea, why don't you give a brief introduction of your character while I'm doing that?
Okay, well, Sapphire is a rock gnome sorceress. She has a strong librarian bent to her personality. She's been basically living in a library for the last while, but she's going out in search of some knowledge and adventure with some friends.
Awesome. Oh, that doesn't help at all. And Casey, you want to give us a brief introduction to Vern?
Hi, this is Casey, sans face cam. So I will be playing Vern Turnharp, a half-orc bard. Vern is rather old and for his race, and has amber yellow eyes, medium gray skin with purplish undertones in the sunlight, mid-back length shock white hair with one single black stripe running through it. Vern, at first glance, might seem rather odd in appearance to other people, but has a very nice time in his own world and enjoys playing music, obviously, because he's a bard. His chosen instrument is a dulcimer, and he is looking forward to trying to make the world a better place as he travels around with new friends.
Nice, I like it. All right, GU Comics, introduce us to Dr. Barnabas Burnwhisker. You're gonna have to unmute your microphone, though. There we go.
I can try, but VC wasn't letting me.
Is that okay?
I was giving you crap for calling me Burn Whisker. There's no N in it.
Oh, Burwhisker, sorry.
Dr. Barnabas Burwhisker is a Hill Dwarf cleric. He was a combat medic who's now moved on trying to escape the war, and has fashioned himself as a paranormal skeptic, moving about from town to town, destroying what people believes to be ghosts and such. Beyond that, he dresses dapperly and hits things with a mace.
Dapperly. He's dapper? I like
He
it.
is very dapper.
All right. So these are our intrepid adventurers, who we will be. I'm gonna zoom in on our map here. Classic Mag trying to eat his mic. Well, you know. When you're hungry, you gotta eat what's available, right? Let's see. There we go. That's a little better. So I think the best thing for us to do is to just sort of dive into where our characters are going, which is this little town right here. So our adventure sort of finds us in Poster. Each character's reason for being here is probably going to vary quite a bit. This continent is likely going to be the most the busiest of all of them. Hazal, as we know, as we kind of talked about the last time we discussed, Uzuthan is, though, pretty barren and cold. Houses a lot of cold-loving races, frost giants, dwarves, Aarakocra, where Rafflemau is from. Ewan is also fairly cold. 2 to 3 months out of the year, Poster is warm enough to be quite nice. And it's a nice place to be. But you are then left finding a caravan south. And that's, what our adventurers are doing at this point. The caravan's leaving. It's fairly important that you book your caravan far enough in advance, either depositing money and then leaving at a later time, or paying more money to leave when you need to or want to, depending on where it is that you want to go. The city of Poster, here we will, I'm going to, and bear with me as obviously this setup is completely new for me as well. So doing this with my streaming tools is brand new. Oh, Mag, you broke your camera. Oh, it got huge. It's huge, Mag. Growth spurt. You're a growing bird. Okay. So going from this way. So Poster exists in basically 3 countries: Hasal, Yuan, and Gao. The city itself is not really owned by any one of them or owned by all of them. Kind of argued that they each own them. And it's, I would say, of a good size. Has a market, craftsmen, merchants, and a temple. It has a very fairly large sized township as far as a religious sect, government, but it's still, all of these hash marks around signify farmland. It is, though, kind of in between all of these cities because it's not owned by any one of them. It's never sort of paid attention to any one of them. So it sort of has its own economy. It has sort of existed in its own little world for quite some time. So it sees its fair share of bandits. It sees its fair share of theft. It only has one simple mayor and doesn't really have... it's not ruled over by the politics of any of the Hasal governments, Yuan or Gao. The mayor had been elected and has been the mayor of Poster for the last 40 years. That's kind of where we find ourselves. So I don't know. I'm fine with this being an adventure where I just tell you as players, you find yourself in Poster. Because you just do. I'm also fine with you being the players that tell me you're in Poster for a reason. I know that sometimes it's important for you to have a reason, right? There's always the easy way. I'm fine with either one. So I don't know if, again, we're kind of building this story together. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on that or not. I'm happy to discuss it. On whether or not you want to roleplay it out or what you feel is best appropriate. Okay. That works. That someone is our DM, right? Yeah, and each person's backstory, there were, little things that we sort of talked about as to why they might be here. Well, hi, Venom. We're getting our nerd on. How's it going? So in the merchant section of the town of Poster is a tavern where you've all found yourself after traveling for a while to get here, whether you've come from Hasal, Ewan, or Gao. The barmaid is her name is Hazel. She looks to be about 80. Quite leathered, you would say. Most of the townsfolk here in Poster seem to be fairly haggard. I would say the people who aren't traveling through Poster, the regulars, or the ones you would normally would say the people who actually live here. There are people live here who are younger folk, but they all look like they've lived a pretty hard life. So yeah, what would you guys like to do?
Well, I'm seeking passage south for warmer climates to rob from the rich and give to the poor, and a little to myself.
So are you saying this to Hazel?
Right. Hazel. Hazel, my darling.
Aye.
Do you know where I could book passage south before the coming winter?
Well, there be the caravans, they leaving from south. There's a pretty long line, though. If you got the gold, they'd probably give you extra fast passage to the front of the line. But if you don't got no gold, you're gonna have to wait in line.
Well, I don't got no gold. Do you know if I could work my way onto one of these caravans? I've got a lot of skills.
What kind of skills you got, darling?
Oh, well, you see this blade on my back? Those are most of my skills.
Oh, well.
But, I get to things and see things and all kinds of things.
Well, Hazel looks up at the clock, and it might be almost 6 o'clock. Mayor Felderman, there be 6 o'clock, always comes into the tavern. You might ask him if there's any work to be done. There's always work to be done in the fields. There never be anything that Nate be done in the town. I don't know. I just run the bar. I pour the drinks. I cook the foods. There never be nothing to do here in the tavern. I do all that. I wash the dishes. Well, I wouldn't call it washing the dishes. Kind of like wipe them off. But
Well, thanks, Hazel.
Sure. You want some water or some bread or something? I
Give me a mug of your ale.
You said you didn't have any money. It's not free, sweetie.
You don't extend credit.
No, hun.
Like I said, I'd be willing to work it off. Look, I've been traveling for a long time. I'm very tired. My wings are sore. Just one little mug, please.
Oh my god. I seen a lot in my day. I seen a lot. If you sweep for me, I give you a bowl of soup.
All right, point me to your nearest broom.
I don't remember where I put it. You're gonna have to look.
All right, I'll go looking for a broom.
Okay. Hazel sort of shuffles to the back and grabs a bowl of soup and a big tankard of what you might think is ale. Tastes sort of like water, maybe a little bit of ale in it, and slaps it up on the counter for you.
Close enough. All right, I'll down the mug and eat my my soup as fast as I can, and go find that broom.
Okay. And not shortly after that, a weathered-looking, portly human, maybe 5 foot, sort of stumbles in through the front door. Hazel! Where's my soup? And he sort of falls onto the bar. Hi, Mayor Feldman. I told ye, there's always soup. She puts a big, takes a giant chunk of bread, sits it on top of a bowl of soup and sits it in front of Mayor Feldman. And he just sort of puts his face on top of the soup bowl and makes just disgusting eating noises while he sits there on the bar eating.
While this has been happening, Vern has been in one corner of the tavern playing his dulcimer.
Okay.
And trying to earn a few pieces of copper, perhaps, here and there from anybody who might be in.
Okay.
If it was okay with Hazel, of course.
Sure.
And if I could, I would like to roll a performance check to see how well I'm playing.
Great.
And you can determine whether or not that means I earn anything.
You bet.
Okay. So that's going to be a 9 in total.
Okay. And I think if on your character sheet, if you go to abilities or skills, if you to the right. No, not that. Performance. How do you do that? So I think so just so everybody in chat knows, as we so if you on the total if you pick up the little hand over performance and drag it in there and roll it, you should see it actually add that up. So no,
I had to double click it.
You have to double click it? Oh, I just
for that one
drag and drop. Or you maybe can double click it.
Mine throws an error, which is why I was adding manually. I'll try to get that fixed, but
yeah, double clicking works for me too. Dragging and dropping also works for me. I wonder why it's giving you an error. That's really annoying. Okay, so a 9 total. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's something in the cold that's making your fingers just a little bit numb. Your dulcimer maybe is just after your travels, maybe a tiny bit out of tune. Hazel says, "Hey, you there? What was your name again, laddie? Come here. Come see me. Come see Hazel over here at the bar, sweetie, honey."
I walk over to Hazel at the bar and I say, "Yes?"
What was your name again, sweetie, honey?
Vern.
Vern.
Vern Turnharp.
Vern Turnharp. Oh, that's a hummer of a dulcimer you got there. I like it very very much. Would you like something to eat?
I'm afraid I don't really have much to give.
Oh, that's okay. You're giving me your music. Would you like some soup?
Sure, I'll take some soup.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay. So Hazel's like seems relieved that the music has stopped. And she goes and gets a bowl and some bread and plops it down on the bar next to the mayor. And she leans with a super heavy arm against the bar table on the mayor and says, "So is that wedding gonna take place after all, Mayor? It just doesn't seem like it's something that should happen." And the mayor just looks up at Hazel and says, "I don't want to talk about it." And he goes back to his soup and keeps eating. Anybody else?
Meanwhile, a little gnome slips into the bar and wanders up and quietly says, "Excuse me, I heard tell there was this book that I could find some clues as to where I'm going to find it if I came in here and asked around a little." It's a very special book.
Hazel peers over the end of the bar. "Aye. This be a tavern, my sweet. I don't got no books. I'm not sure I ever been in a library. Bookstore, though, be down about 4, 6, 9 blocks over. Mayor Feldman, where the heck's the library? I don't remember. But I got soup. I got ale. I got a couple kinds of meat, I think. Would you like something to eat, sweets?"
Well, I do like soup.
The soups I got. Sit down. I think you might have to hoist yourself up a good 7 feet there to get on the stool, but you're welcome. You're welcome to sit.
So I'll clamber up onto a stool as best I can and perch myself there.
Awesome. Hazel goes and gets another thick wooden bowl and plops it down on the bar on the other side of the mayor.
I don't suppose I see all this going on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're right there at the bar. You can hear and
I'm
see
gonna try
everything.
and sneak a refill in my mug while Hazel's doing a thing.
Oh yeah. Give me a sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand.
Oh yeah, Hazel has no idea. She's
Nice.
she leans in again to Mayor and says, I'm really worried about Marcus. You know, there's nothing more than I fear for this poor bloke than Killy. She's gonna die. We can't, this just can't happen. And the mayor looks up. His face is absolutely covered in soup. And he says, "Hazel! I told you, I don't want to talk about it." And Hazel just sort of leans back and folds her arm and says, "This whole town knows about that house. Dem girls, you can't hide it any longer."
seeing the mayor with soup all over his face, I whip a floral embroidered handkerchief
Oh.
out of my pocket, and I shove it into his hand, and I say, "Clean yourself up."
Oh boy. So the mayor takes the handkerchief and oh boy. Uh hmm. Wipes his face, drops it onto the floor, takes the mug of what he would describe as ale, drinks it completely down, belches extraordinarily loudly. Here, I'll give you a. Oh, that wasn't a very good belch. Like burbles up in what I could only describe as a verp. You know, like one of those like vomit burps, and puts his face back in the bowl.
Very well. And I pick up my handkerchief off the floor, and I return to my own bowl of soup.
Whatever happened to manners?
The mayor is not a man of manners.
Clearly.
Clearly. He says, "You know, Hazel, this town has gone to crap. That house, these people, I just don't know what to do anymore."
Being an inquisitive sort, Sapphire looks around and says, "I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this house you're talking about. Could you enlighten me?"
The mayor just keeps eating. Hazel's happy to talk, though. I be talking about Widower's Hill. It's up on the top of that peak over. She walks out of her tavern, like walks around the bar, opens the door, like looks around, shouts, "It's over east there!" and then comes back inside. And when she was pointing to the east, if you were watching, she very clearly pointed north. And she comes back in and leans back against the bar and says, there be a haunt there at Widower's Hill. I don't know what be happening, but that poor man had been trying to get married for 50 years now. And every single one of his brides had died on the altar. Every single one. And the mayor looks up from his soup again and says, "Hazel, you shut up. These people don't need to hear about this town's tales. It been 50 years. No one needs to know. Poor Marcus has been through enough. All 7 of his brides died. No one needs to know. No one needs to know."
Raffle squawks in. Well, maybe he should have found a husband.
The mayor just goes, aye.
Sir Burwickster has been sitting in the corner taking all of this nonsense and making ample notes, and cannot decide if he actually wants to try to speak to Hazel about this or not. I'd like. How many other people are in the bar with us? Other bar patrons?
There are, I'd say, 3 or 4 other people drinking. There was one other person over near Vern listening to music. three people over by a fireplace, and one person has maybe come in since you guys have been discussing this, since the mayor has come in. It's not a super busy tavern. I'd say it could probably hold another 20 people before it seemed busy. It's just before dinner time. I'd say now that the mayor is here, it would probably get a little bit more busy because people know he's here.
And what are the group that is the closest to me? What are they talking about with the perception? I would imagine.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
I'll try. Thing.
Yeah, so your ability to sort of listen keenly and just not say much this whole time. The townsfolk are whispering about Marcus's wedding. Several of them have been working on the proceedings. There is a courtyard with a fountain that they've been working on. Their tones have been pretty somber. For a bar, you would think that people would be a little bit more animated. In a town this size, you would imagine people to be a little bit more excited, or just a little bit, I don't know, like townsfolky. But there just seems to be a level of dread that's just kind of laid over everybody. There even seems to be a person over in the corner, maybe that's kind of catty corner to you, that seems to kind of be like silently crying, chewing their fingernails. They just seem super like nervous, agitated.
Do they seem to be responding to what the other people are saying, or unrelated?
They're whispering about the wedding, especially after the mayor has been talking about it, sort of like quietly hushed whispers about, you heard one person mention the florist doesn't want to have to create any more arrangements that are just going to die. That now that the mayor's here, they know that it's just going to end in him getting drunk before the wedding tomorrow.
In the chatter, does anything come up as to why the mayor would be having such an adverse reaction, other than it seems like every time this guy goes to get married, somebody dies?
That seems to be his worry. Every time Marcus's name is brought up, he seems to just get really overprotective. So there might be something to that. Hi, Wumgoa.
Okay.
So as you guys are sort of talking and listening and eating your soup, Hazel kind of continues to stir the big pot of soup that's over the crackling fire in the back. She very sweetly winks at Vern and says, "You know, maybe did I see you had a drum there? I do like the drums. Maybe you could play me some drums."
Have you considered doing it?
I might just have a drum on me. Let's see. And I sort of unhitch it from my pack and take it off, and I set it on top of the bar so that I can be close to her, since she is the one who requested that I play. And I begin playing a little beat and singing a song about what seems mostly about fire and light.
She just sort of slumps into the bar and grins happily at Vern and says, I don't get many people singing in here no more. People they just seem sad lately. God, it's so cold these days.
Tell me
And
about
I
it.
guess I I guess I just sort of continue playing until the song ends.
Okay. A extraordinarily good-looking young human, or and I can say young, but youngish looking man. But handsome for what would appear to be his age, sort of mid-50s. Kind of strolls into the bar. Slides up next to Sapphire and looks down the bar. Says, Hazel, tomorrow's the big day. What are you making for my wedding? And she looks down at him and says, Marcus, I'm enjoying a song. Don't bother me now. And Hazel looks back at Vern and says, You got another one, sweetie?
Yeah, I think I could certainly play another song. And I get up from the bar, swinging the drum around my neck now with the strap that I have. And I begin sort of walking back and forth across the front of the bar, not on top of the bar, and singing a song that is quite jaunty. Being that Hazel said that everybody seems so sad, and that the entire mood is somber, and singing sort of a jaunty tune.
Very nice. Well, Hazel is just absolutely enthralled, and she starts to clap along, and as best as she can for a crotchety old 85-year-old leather bag, sort of works her way back and forth in step to the music. And Marcus seems annoyed and flabbergasted. And he says, Killy and I only have until tomorrow morning to get everything settled. And Mayor Felderman interrupts him and says, this shouldn't even be happening, Marcus. This is just it. You can't keep doing this. And they get into what seems to be a fairly heated argument. Marcus is looking like he's starting to get visibly angry with the mayor.
Raffle Mal hops on over, broom still in hand, and asks, "How did your brides die? What's so wrong? What keeps happening?"
He looks over and he just goes, "What? They're letting birds in here now?" He looks like visibly like taken aback. And
they're letting idiots in here now.
He just shakes his head and he says, I don't know what happens to them. we get to the altar and they just die. I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Well, that is strange. I hop daintily back over to where I was sweeping and keep at it.
Can I pull any insight off of this? Is he distraught? Is he angry? Is he nonplussed? What is his response to someone basically just calling out his dead wives?
Yeah, you can roll an insight.
Here, let me try to do that.
As a wisdom inclined person, you may.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. So you can tell he's a very passionate guy and very romantically inclined, and he just seems to fall for others very easily. What you could say. Something about him seems very youthfully charismatic. Maybe unnaturally youthful.
But at the same time, it just doesn't seem to put him out at all that he's had so many other wives that didn't quite make it.
No, he stumbles backwards after Raffles' question. He just says, after Lillian, it just all seemed to go downhill. And the mayor says, I told you she was a bad choice. And they continue to go toe to toe, kind of shouting at one another. The mayor keeps poking him in the chest as they exchange barbs.
Did they get down off their stools to do this, or are they poking each other over Sapphire's head?
No, like the mayor has gotten off of his stool as Marcus has come around to him. So they're in the bar, but they're making their way sort of to the door. And their exchange continues, and they move out into the courtyard just outside of the bar. You can hear their argument become even more heated as the mayor is continuing to throw barbs at him that just has said, how could he continue to move on and forget all of these women time after time, year after year, that they were best friends, that they grew up together, that it's been 50 years, it's been 40 years. There's no time. There's no reason why this should keep happening.
Sapphire, being the curious little gnome she is, slips down off of her bar stool and quietly slips over to the door to just peek out, look at the house that Hazel was talking about, and kind of see what's happening.
They look like they might get in a fist fight.
Burr Whisker would like to watch the scuffle.
Okay.
Rafflemow also starts hopping outside.
Okay. Hop outside. Vern, do you want to stay inside and court Hazel, or do you want to get a little closer to the fight?
More or less, Vern is probably a little bit oblivious, just because when he starts playing music, he gets rather taken away with what he's playing. So more than likely, he's still in the bar.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he's still in the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. So as you guys sort of hear the character, or hear these two characters going at each other, Mayor Felderman is the elder of the two, and Marcus appears to be in far better shape of the two. You can hear in the distance there's a younger woman's voice, who is crying for Marcus to stop it. Um, her she's long, flowing blonde hair, impossibly beautiful, but she seems fairly timid, and she's kind of tugging on Marcus's arm as this tussle is taking foot. And as you sort of feel this argument reaching the tensions at its peak, the mayor sort of pulls back and points up to the house that the Hazel was talking about, and he just says, "I tell ye, it's haunted." And as he says this, out from underneath the ground explodes a ghast and 4 ghouls. And I need you all to roll initiative. And I'm not quite sure how we do that in the game, so we're gonna have to figure it out.
Let's see.
Combat tracker.
If you double click the box under in it, you'll get your initiative roll.
Okay. I just know.
Oh,
And
that's a roll.
And I shall forever be going last.
I'm probably going to go first most of the time.
My initiative is so bad.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find it because talent.
And you said these guys exploded from the earth?
From the ground, yes.
Exploded.
Okay.
Up from underneath. In the courtyard, yeah.
Wow. This fight will be done before I get to roll in.
Dang, Linnea.
Okay. Show all NPCs. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you guys in Fantasy Grounds see the...
I don't see anything.
You see that?
Nope.
I see nothing.
Do you have to save it to the maps that we're using? This is complicated.
It is complicated.
It's almost like we've never used this system before.
Right?
Oh, wow. Theater to mine. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so When I clicked on the little sword up at the top of all the options on the right-hand side, it gave me a combat tracker that I think gives me the NPCs you're wanting us to see.
Yeah, there's a combat tracker. You guys should see the ghast and the ghouls.
Mm-hmm.
But we may just have to do that way. But I was hoping image map.
Grid would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can use our imagination.
Visibility. Sharing.
Oh, okay.
Did that work?
I see something.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to move this to my higher res monitor.
Bitches get liches. Yeah, Rumgore. Okay, I think I'm going to change here. And holy flambe. Exactly. I think I'll be able to share this with you guys. That did not work. Interesting. I don't know why. Okay. There we go. Whoa. Okay, so let me just get this set up real quick for you guys. Oh, right, don't want that. Okay.
Oh, we don't want to see that.
Yeah, I know. So I'm gonna have to put this over. I can't put it on another screen though. That's the hard part. Put it over up here maybe. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So I should give you guys at least a little bit of a view of the combat, I think. Maybe get it visual. We may have to adjust this a little bit more, but here's hoping we can make this work. So um as we see Marcus and the mayor, go into near fisticuffs, and Killy is trying to pull Marcus away from the mayor. She he keeps and continually turning to her, professing his love for her, and saying, "My love, we just have to wait for tomorrow. There's nothing I want more than to be wedded to you. You simply just don't understand. The mayor is, he just doesn't understand our love." And the mayor just keeps saying awful things. Keely looks kind of scared. She looks a little concerned. Um, she looks maybe a little I should say, I wouldn't say she just looks, obviously her boyfriend's, or her fiance I should say, is just about to get into a fist fight with the mayor when these undead things pop up from the ground. The the ghouls especially look fairly I don't know if to say kind of gross. Kind of the skin is falling off of their faces. Um, and they start lunging at passing by townsfolk. And people are screaming, and just a absolute chaos is breaking out um, in the little, I would say, what area out here outside the tavern. As far as our initiative goes, I want to give you all a round to do one last thing before the the undead are kind of emerging from the ground, as it's going to take them around to kind of their bodies to completely emerge up from the ground. So I'll give you all one last round to do something, whether it's position yourself or, do something. Anybody have a...
Well, I'm gonna make a beeline for Killy.
In what
Quick
way?
dash. To try and get her out of danger.
Okay. So you're trying to pull her away from the ghouls?
Yep.
Okay.
I've seen this before.
Okay.
Try and get her back into the tavern.
Okay.
Upon hearing sort of outside, can Vern run outside?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you
So
hear...
Vern's gonna run outside.
You hear townspeople screaming. There's, obvious panic. The mayor is shouting at Marcus to say, "I told you this was going to happen." So, as far as where you guys are outside, um, I I don't know how we place markers for your characters are either. I think on the party sheet, if you drag and drop, maybe. I think there is another thing on the map called tokens.
Um,
Um,
so for me at least,
character tokens.
I don't see the full map that you have.
Okay,
I just see a gray screen with goal number 1 in it.
Ah, okay.
Same.
Yep.
There's number
Same.
4.
There.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Is there
How's
any
that?
way to show the map?
Oh,
And
I
while
just
you
completely
I'll
fucked my window. God damn it.
take that window.
I just completely screwed up the Fantasy Grounds setting, so now it's all horked.
Whoops. Sorry.
Um,
Hmm.
Hi, we're flesh eating zombies. Or crab walks. Hey,
Yeah,
Scarlet Derby, thanks for the biddies. Appreciate it. Alright, let me see if I can fix this. Let me fix the rolling window. Party sheet. No. I guess that's not too bad. I'll just keep that as is. Ain't no party like an undead party. Exactly. Sharing selection modes. Token target mask. Navigator. Enter mask mode. Delete mask. Okay, well, yeah, I don't know. This is why I was kind of frustrated with the whole map thing. I don't know how to get this to visible for you guys. It doesn't make sense to me on how to make this visible to you guys. So, yeah.
Well, I can see everything but the terrain. So
you can see the ghouls. You just
yep,
can't
I can
see
see
the.
I can see the multiple goals. I can see our pointers. I can see the G. I can see I can see that token moving.
So you can see it when I move the ghouls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why in the world would it not show you the terrain map? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Who knows?
And adding us into the combat tracker.
Yeah. Let's see. Party sheet. Combat tracker. Yeah. I think I can drag and drop you guys into the combat tracker based on your initiative. So let's see. Yeah, they shouldn't trust me, Rumgor. I am trying to kill them after all. Let's see. So
That's fine.
Sapphire. Let's see. Initiative. Raffle, you rolled an 18. Oh, but I can't drag you from the party sheet. Why is that a thing? Let's see, from characters maybe? Okay, here we go. Initiative 18. Okay, maybe that works. We'll see. Sapphire rolled a 19.
Well, I see us in the combat tracker, so
Okay,
that's good.
perfect. That
Mhm.
we're moving in the right direction.
Or the scarier one.
Well, yeah. And Vern, you rolled an 11. Was there? Do you have a bonus at all to your initiative?
+1.
Plus
So
one, so
it's a
it's
12.
12. Okay. And Dr. Barnabas, did you roll initiative? I didn't see it in the window.
I did. So
Oh, 7. Okay. That looks to be it. So I don't know now. I don't know what we do now. I guess Sapphire, you're you would be first in combat. So
Well, I'm not sure where we are actually. I mean, I know I've got my little person out there, but I'm not sure where we are relative to these guys.
I would say we'll kind of do again kind of theater of the mind, where at the bottom of the map here at the southern part of the map I would say is the courtyard where you would otherwise be coming out of the out of the bar. So knowing your speed, each of the characters can move a certain speed. um, I believe each grid on the map is approximately 5 feet. So putting yourselves in an area approximately around where you might want to be, or staying out of the range of the ghouls and the ghast to do what you might want to do.
I know that I don't have a grid on
Oh, you don't see a
my
grid?
map,
Okay.
but if the ghouls are approximately a 5-foot square,
Yeah.
then maybe we can use that as a marker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, obviously being a caster, I'm gonna kind of give them a wide berth and just cast at them from a distance. So I would probably pick the ghoul that's closest to me and cast a firebolt at it.
Okay. So, yeah, then either one of those, I think Ghoul 3 or Ghoul 4.
Okay.
And I think if you take the fireball and drag it onto them, it would attack them directly. I think that's how that works. Looks like you were attacking them with your...
That's not what.
Firebolt.
Yeah, that was a firebolt. Okay.
But it wasn't a very good firebolt.
No. So, maybe it was the wind, the cold wind out here that snuffed out your fire before it got to the ghoul. But it was a miss. Then it would be Raffle's turn.
I see. All right, where am I? Did I make it to Killy?
Yeah, so you would be back inside the tavern then. So you would be back
Okay.
inside the tavern with her.
Are there buildings opposite the tavern? This place. I'm looking for a perch to fly up onto.
Yeah, I would say there are
within short bow range.
the town and here, the buildings are pretty close together. You would probably have to come outside and fly up
Mhm.
in order to get out onto a building. So distance-wise, I believe your movement and your action would be taken up getting up on top of a building. If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do that.
Okay. So you find your way up onto, the like kind of a thatched roof on a small,
Yep.
we'll say um, it's a jewelry shop next door.
Mhm. Okay. And I guess that'll be my turn.
All right. And
It's basically a dash, right? Yeah.
so the ghast is going to move towards a townsperson that is nearest the mayor and wrap its like kind of ghastly arms around it and just rip this poor townsperson limb from limb. Blood spurts everywhere, screaming, wailing, just absolute grossness is happening before your guys' eyes. It's a blood fest. This poor townsperson didn't stand a chance. The ghast is just leaving no limb left unripped from its body, I guess you could say. And that's the ghast's turn. Yeah, there's like a lot of gore. Yeah. That's the ghast's turn. Vern, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
Okay, so my movement speed is 30 feet.
Okay.
So I'm going to move between, I think I have enough movement speed to do this, between Ghoul 4 and Ghoul 1.
Okay.
And I am going to, let's see, it's been a minute since I've played D&D.
It's all good.
If you use your turn to run, you can't also attack on your turn. Is that correct? Or can you do that?
Dashing is basically taking your action to move additional spaces. So that's correct.
Okay. So that's going to be the end of my turn then.
So you're basically coming here in between these two ghouls to get a better position. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to get this off the screen and it's not working. Okay, we have Dr. Barnabas. It is your turn. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna flip the cane that I'm using over so that it becomes the implement of destruction that it is, and directly after the ghast.
Okay.
And I would like to pummel him gently about the face and neck.
Gently. Okay.
Uh-huh. But since I don't have very much control of my attacks at such a low level, it probably won't be so gentle.
Ah.
So let's try this. I'm not. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a hit.
I just need to roll up some damage then, yeah?
Yes. Nice.
Take that.
8 points of damagey to the ghoul. So he looks up from like the damage that he has done to this person. He's clearly busy doing something else and very distracted by the mess that he was making. and just sort of stares at you with his ghastly face. Makes some grunting, ghastly noises at you as you whack him with your makeshift cane. And the ghouls start to shake the dirt off of their bodies and move towards each of you. Vern, since you are the closest to Ghoul 1, they are going to attack. And I am not quite sure how to do this, so I'm going to do my best. I'm going to... Oh, no, I closed the window. I can do it. Butt whisker? Maybe. Well, you are an 8-year-old Rumgor, but, you know, we still love you. Let's see. The school is going to... So it's going to move up. It's going to attack. No, that's its armor class. Bite. Bite, bite, bite. Okay. Drag onto new target. No, that didn't make any sense. Thanks, Rumgor. Strength, Dex, Con, Int, React. Yeah. Actions. Bite. Yeah, I want to bite. I want to bite, bite, bite. Yeah, I don't know how to... So in the combat tracker, how are you guys attacking? Maybe that would help me.
I clicked the map goal and then clicked attack in my character sheet.
Oh, I don't see you guys on the map, so maybe if I...
Yeah, we're not. I was clicking the monster on the map.
Yeah. I don't see you guys. Let's see. Vern. Close window, delete item, create item. They're attacking very negative Yelp reviews. This tavern sucks. This got terrible soup. It's just awful. Actions. Bite, claws, bite, 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 bite.
Try right click to this on the combat tracker and then applying your action.
Try doing what?
Right clicking us in the combat tracker and then going and doing your action.
Yeah, I can delete you or... damn So if I click on one of you, all I can do is delete you or close the window.
So maybe we ignore Fantasy Grounds and just roll dice.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to because I can't I can't figure out how to do this. If I Okay, turn ghoul. Maybe that worked. Hang on, I think I might have done something. Hang on. Okay, and I thought I brought my dice up here, but I did not. Unidentified creature.
Hooray, we killed one of the ghouls.
What?
We're so good.
How'd you do that?
He disappeared off the screen. I assume he's spontaneously combusted.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to do that.
Woohoo!
Um,
I'm taking the experience.
yeah, sorry guys, this is frustrating. Let me go grab my dice. I'll be right back.
Let me just mute my mic in case she gets really grumpy.
Okay. As it is. Okay, desk. I gotta eat my microphone. All right. Technology is great when it works. Alrighty. So, our ghoul is going to try and attack. God damn it. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Now I can't even move that. Going to get this out of the way. Is going to try and attack Vern. It swings a very flappy undead arm and misses. Clearly, being undead, it has its fair share of dexterity problems. Ghoul 2 Uh, looks like it's closest to what I would imagine to be um, Dr. Barnabas. As you moved up to attack the ghast, it's going to make an attempt to claw you. Does a 14 hit you?
It does not.
Okay. So it's muddy, floppy, undead arms also does not flops off your shoulder as its undexterous body moves about. Ghoul number 3 turns to shamble its way towards Dr. Barnabas and trips and falls to one knee. Ghoul number 4 turns around and swings at Vern. Does a 15 hit your AC?
Yes.
Okay. Its claws. Its claws sink into you for 6 piercing damage.
Okay.
So I think on the combat tracker, I'll see now I have an extra ghoul on here. Let's delete him. Ghoul 3, ghoul 4, ghoul 2. Okay. Ghast.
Since you're not being able to apply the ghoul's attacks directly to us, if you go to your character sheet in the main tab, you'll see wounded, max, and temporary hit points. Just type in your hit points under wounded for whatever you've got after you were damaged.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to see it on the combat tracker, which will help me, your healer, out very much.
Okay. Next round. Sapphire.
Helps if I unmute the things first.
Yeah, sometimes.
So, undaunted by the failure of the first attack, we'll give it another go with the fiery attack. Because why not?
Because why not?
And... oh, come on. Where did I lose that thing? I'm obviously functioning well with this thing. So
Yes.
let's see. I will aim it again at the same ghoul that I was trying at before.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And I miss again.
So the ghoul just sort of shambles its face back and forth at you, clearly undaunted. But swinging one arm in one direction after another is enough to make you feel a little off put, because he's ghouls are pretty gross. Raffle, your turn.
There we go. Game would not let me drop dice. Excuse me. I am going to peck at the ghast with my short bow. I don't suppose I have advantage for a sneak attack up here on this roof.
I think the only Let's see. Well, yeah, they would all be within 5 feet of somebody because they're all standing next to one, or they're all standing within 5 feet of somebody. So who are you attacking?
The gas. Let me open up the trackers in my jazz again.
Yes, you would
short
have.
bow at gas.
Mm-hmm.
Please, game.
Okay.
There we go. Darn.
So roll once more because you'd have advantage. So.
Oh.
Yes, nice.
All right. And damage, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then it's the sneak attack dice.
Yes.
It's a D6, right?
Mm-hmm. Without the plus, just the flat D6. How to roll?
I just say grab one of the other d6s and just toss it. We'll
And
see it.
I can adjust his hit points.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah,
how to.
well, I'm trying to throw it, but it won't let me actually roll it.
I can roll it if you want. You do an extra 6 points of damage.
There we go.
You can pull them down into the little hotkeys along the bottom as well, and when you click those, it should roll them out for you. My camera's in the way of those.
All right. The ghast. So you are standing next to the ghast, correct, Dr. Barnabas?
Yep.
I guess I should have done that on your next turn. So we have to remind myself to do that on the start of your turn. You'll need to roll a Constitution save for me. It has a stench. Is going to try and bite you. Is a 9, which I do not think is going to hit you. And that's the ghast's turn. I really wish I could figure out how to friggin' attack. This. I don't understand. Okay. Vern. Bite. Vern, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
Okay. So I am going to strike. I'm going to use my longsword to try to hit Ghoul 4, because that was the one that attacked me.
Okay. Well, to be fair, they both tried to attack you, but they weren't successful.
But the one that hit, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. That's gonna be an unnatural 20.
So you rolled a 16 and your to hit is 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So that definitely hits.
Okay. So then that's going to be a 1d8 plus 2, and that's this one. So that's 5 damage.
For Ghoul 4?
Yep.
Fabulous. Okay, let's see. Open up his seeing how to actually edit their... edit their hit points either. So I will keep notes. And I have lost my pencil. There it is. And you said 6 points of damage?
5 points.
5. Okay. Okay. And now it is Dr. Barnabas. What would you like to do?
I am going to. I'm going to hit him about the head and neck again. And then Vern, that 3 is how many hit points you have left or how much damage you've taken?
That's how many hit points I have left.
Okay. So I'm going to hit him and bonus action healing word on Vern. So let's start with at least try to do this again. Ugh.
Commander Buttwhiskers, MD. Yes.
Oh, well, there you go. Take that then.
Goodness. Critical hit.
So,
Oh, and
I don't know how to handle critting in this software.
You would just have to roll your damage twice.
Yeah, all right.
And I do need you to make a Constitution saving throw as well.
There's that. Yeah, we'll do that next.
Okay.
And then we'll do that. So a total of 12.
Okay.
And the healing word, since I don't know how to apply this directly to the Vern. Nope. This software can suck it.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I need to watch their stupid
Here
tutorial
we go.
videos again. But
So this will be 3 and god damn it, my camera was in the way. And a D4. So 7 points of healing for Vern.
Okay.
And I will roll a Constitution saving throw as soon as I find it. I thought it would be on that page. It is not. Constitution save. So there's the Constitution save.
perfect. So you are not grossed out by the stench that is emanating from the ghoul. You've been in combat enough to be familiar with this smell, and it's not yet gotten to you.
Alrighty.
All right. So
Real quick before we move on.
sure.
Vern, is your max 9?
Yes. So probably up
Yep.
to 9 then.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
There we go.
Everyone's made whole again. All right. So ghoul number 1 and number 2 Let's see. Ghoul 1 and Ghoul 4 were over by you, right, Vern? I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ghoul 1 is going to try and bite you again.
Okay.
We're just gonna. I'll roll on screen, and these are. Their attacks are +2. Well, that worked. I just can't seem to actually roll to a specific person. So that's an 18.
That hits.
Okay. That didn't seem to actually. There we go. That is 7 points of piercing damage to you.
Okay.
Ghoul 2 is standing behind Dr. Barnabas, I believe. He's going to try and bite. He sees you whacking on the ghast. That didn't apparently... Oh my goodness. I'm rolling the dice in the attack window. Oh, that was a critical hit.
Well, it was the first time you rolled it.
I didn't... It wouldn't roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. That's 12 points of damage.
All right.
Ow. Ghoul number 3.
What the crap?
Are you still standing?
No.
Okay, you're down. Ghoul number 3 sees you fall and ambles after another townsperson. Ghoul number 4 is going to dang it. Okay, open this up. Come on, Ghoul number 4. Oh, for heaven's sakes. There we go. Ghoul number 4 is going to try and attack Fern. Come on. Okay, that was a 5.
That does not hit.
Does not hit. And we're back at the top of our attack order. Sapphire, what would you like to do?
Well, I'm kind of getting frustrated with the lack of success with the fire. So I'm going to pull out the magic missile and throw that at the Ghoul 3 that I've been playing with all this time.
Yes. So magic missile doesn't need a roll at all, as you know, Sapphire would know. It just is force damage. So all you would need to do is just to roll those. I think if you pull them up out of Fantasy Grounds, they should be D4s.
It says 1d4 plus 1 force.
I think it's multiple D4s. So yeah.
Well, when I double clicked on it, that's what it did. So
Yes. So you did that damage to which of the ghouls?
Ghoul 3, the one I've been tired of this whole time.
Ghoul 3. Okay. So you did 8 damage to Ghoul 3. Okay.
Yay, I finally did damage.
One of his arms falls off. It just kind of flunks onto the ground. And it is Raffle's turn.
Yay. Which of these floppy boys looks the most injured?
I would say between Ghoul, about between Ghoul 4 and Ghoul 3, they're both looking pretty damaged. You would think that
Okay.
a good hit to either of them would probably um,
Okay.
probably do them in.
How close is the ghast from reaching any of the combatants?
Um, the ghast is standing right over Barnabas's body, so
Okay.
yeah.
Are there any of the other ghouls right over Barnabas?
So yeah, Barnabas has two, or he has a ghast and a ghoul standing over him. The ghoul that just downed him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other ghouls has started wandering off to chase after townspeople, and then Vern has the two ghouls on him. So that's kind of the playing field right now.
Okay. I will attempt to pick off the ghoul that Vern just thwacked
Okay.
with a missile.
Okay.
Or that was
Ghoul 4, right? Vern.
four. Whichever one just got thwacked by a magic missile.
Oh, that's Ghoul 3. Yep.
Okay. Ghoul 3. I'm gonna try and sneak attack that again with a short bow.
Perfect.
Alrighty. LeChow. LeChow?
LeChow? That is definitely a hit.
LeChow. Alright.
Nice.
7 and 5.
So your short bow kind of like peels into its shoulder, and its torso just sort of falls in half. And it flops onto the ground dead.
Yikes. Alright. I'm gonna keep sitting up here.
Okay. Nice, Alika. The ghast sort of looks around and starts moving towards Marcus and the mayor that have sort of started backing away from what's kind of happening, and lets out this sort of like ungodly bellow and sound, and reaches out its claws to try and reach at the mayor. I'm gonna roll, and it doesn't make contact with the mayor, and he just takes off running. Vern, it is your turn.
Okay. Am I at all within like reaching distance of Dr. Barnabas?
If I would say if you wanted to get to Dr. Barnabas, you would need to move.
Okay.
The unfortunate part here is that the ghouls are going to get a swing at you.
Right.
To move out of their combat into that area, they would get a swing at you.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna stay where I am then. And I'm going to again use my longsword to try to hit. And that is going to be a 14.
That definitely hits. Which one are you
Okay.
hitting?
I'm going to go for Ghoul 4 again.
Awesome.
And then that is going to be 10 damage for Ghoul
Okay.
4.
So your longsword kind of makes this sickly sucking noise as it sinks into its flesh. And it just kind of gets stuck. You know how your foot gets stuck in the mud and it like gets that like gross noise where it just like envelops around something, and as it kind of like sinks down into it, the ghoul just sort of falls backwards off of the sword and falls dead.
Okay.
So Ghoul 1 and Ghoul 2 and the Ghast are the only enemies left on the map. Townspeople are screaming, flailing around, running all over the place. Schlorp, yes, exactly, Rumgor. And Marcus has made his way into the tavern to get Killy, and the mayor is back. Or you can hear him shouting for the guards to come and help. And Dr. Barnabas, it is your turn.
Blah.
All right. So Ghoul 1 will make an attack swing at Vern. Why does that not? That's a 5, and that does not connect. So the slurping noise has clearly thrown the ghoul off, and has dexterity keeps him from being able to connect on his flailing motions to try and bite you. Ghoul number 2, I forget where ghoul number 2 is on the map. Oh, is over by Dr. Barnabas. And the Ghast is going to continue trying to chase after various townsfolk and eat them. And that is round 4. Sapphire, what would you like to do?
All right, well, let me see here. I think I would like to attack Ghoul 2. Magic Missile worked pretty well, so I'll try that one again.
Okay. All right. Ghoul 2, his now just a torso and 2 legs.
It's charming.
Yep. It's a very attractive young man. Let's see. Raffle, what would you like to do?
So there's one remaining ghoul and the ghast, yes?
2 ghouls. Ghoul 1 and Ghoul 2.
2 ghouls.
Ghoul 2 looks, like I say, he's just a torso and 2 legs. Ghoul 1 has not had much damage done.
Okay. And how's the ghast looking?
Ghastly.
Of course. How many creatures in between Vern and Barnabas?
I'd say there's probably 15 feet or so between Vern and Barnabas.
Feet. And if Vern were to take a beeline to Barnabas, how many attacks of opportunity?
Just the one. So just the one. Yeah, because there's just the one ghoul.
Okay. So this is ghoul 1 or 2?
Ghoul 1 is the one that's near.
It's in the way. Okay. All right. I will attempt to sneak attack ghoul number 1 with my short bow.
Okay. Okay, that doesn't hit, but you do have advantage, so you can roll again.
It landed on a 12, but it didn't. Come on. There we go.
15 does hit.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, ignored that last one. So 11 damage.
Okay, and that's on Ghoul 1. Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ghoul 1
And
sort
I'll
of
end my turn.
spins around and flails its undead arms at you and goes, "Ah!"
You can't reach me.
Ghoul 2 is so the ghast. The ghast moves towards the tavern, and sees Sapphire kind of standing there, and makes its way towards you, but can't quite reach you, as it was fairly far off, but you can kind of smell it coming. Vern, it is your turn.
Okay. I'm going to again attack with my longsword to try to finish off Ghoul 1.
Okay.
See how that goes. That's a 9.
That is not enough.
Okay. That's really all I can do.
Okay. Dr. Barnabas.
That's death, friends. That is a crit miss on a death saving throw. That makes
God.
1, 2, 3 fails. Dr. Barnabas Burwhisker is dead.
Wow. Oh boy.
So briefly.
Right? Well, we'll have to see what we can do about that. Ghoul number 1 rolls up on a townsperson, biting their neck. Yet another townsperson screaming in agony and pain is now being devoured by a ghoul. Ghoul number 2 makes their way towards what looks to be the Marcus coming out of the tavern, making a attack as well. God, the dice will not roll correctly. It won't. Yeah, it won't roll. And just a general mess is happening in front of the tavern. We'll call that top of the initiative. Sapphire.
All right, so seeing the ghast move towards me puts me a little off, I guess. So can I like skip kind of backwards to avoid the ghasts?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah, it's. I would say it's probably still about 10 feet away from you, so you could move backwards out of its way without provoking it from attacking you.
okay. Do I need to roll something for that, or
Nope.
is that just a thing I can do?
Yeah, just movement in general.
Okay. Is that it, or I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning.
No, it's totally fine. You in each turn you can move you can have an action and you can have a bonus action. So you can move your speed, which as a gnome I believe is 25 feet, and then your action consists of either attacking. You can then move again or dash, essentially, so you can move your speed again. You could cast a spell. You can hit something with a stick or a rock or whatever you want. Or you could, use a various potion or, something that you might have on your body. Yes, we're playing 5th edition Rumgor. And then a bonus action if you have something that allows you to take a bonus action. So that's basically your turn. And you can do those in any order you want.
Move away from the ghast and then try to cast a firebolt at him?
Yes.
I'll give that fire another shot. And I'm still no good at the fire.
Unfortunately, you're maybe a little freaked out by the ghast, and I also need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Oh boy. So you are just completely icked out by the smell of the ghast. It is it's a wretched smell. There's maybe, that in your travels you've never smelled something quite so awful as this smell. The effect in essence is I'm sorry, it's within 5 feet. Never mind. This does not affect you. Disregard.
Okay. I mean, poor little gnome is kind of sheltered. She hasn't gotten out much, so.
Vern, it is your turn. Or, I'm sorry, Raffle, it's your turn.
Alrighty. Vern has taken. I'm going to sneak attack the ghast.
Okay, there's nobody near enough the ghast for you to sneak attack it. So someone has to be within 5 feet of it. So.
Okay. Right. I thought the ghast was still upon us. Is one of the ghouls sneak attackable?
I believe Ghoul 1. So Ghoul 2 is the one that is standing next to Vern, I believe. Ghoul 2 is the one that's just a torso with no arms. Doesn't look like it would be too much of a... It can still bite, but it just can't use its claws.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and pick off the one next to Vern.
Okay.
So that one.
That does not
hit.
hit.
Not hit.
No.
Try again.
So you only get one attack? Nope, you don't. Well, yes. Okay. I'm sorry, you do have advantage. So yes. Sorry.
Okay. Game, do the thing.
I know.
Nice.
I think that does hit.
All right. All right.
So that ghoul, again, that arrow might as well have gone straight through its head and left this as sort of like a gaping hole, and it just sort of falls backwards.
Now, can I move?
Yes.
After? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to glide down off the building.
Okay.
A fair ways away from the ghast or ghouls.
Okay. So it is the ghast's turn. It is going to move up to Sapphire and is going to try and bite you. 10, does that hit you, Sapphire? we're looking for your AC.
My AC is 15, it says.
Perfect. So that does not hit you. So the gas tries to reach in and bite you with its teeth, but it's not successful. Vern, it is your turn. So the ghoul that was just right next to you has fallen flat on its back.
Okay. So approximately how far am I from Ghoul 2 then?
I'd say about 20 feet.
Okay. So I'm going to walk toward Ghoul 2. And then I am going to try to attack it with my longsword.
Okay.
And
Nice. It's definitely a hit.
okay. And I think that was the wrong dice. That was the D10. Yep. Was supposed to roll a D8. Ignore that.
Nice. That's definitely enough. This one was just a torso. Best it could do was bite something. So you kind of swoop in with your sword, and it just kind of stumbles backwards and kind of makes a sideways face at you, and it just kind of crumples forward at your feet.
Okay.
Great. So at this point, the guards and the mayor have returned to the town square, and there's what appears to be an aged man in what appears to be kind of a black cloak with a stupid white hat on. That it's carrying I don't know, what appears to be what you would think is a kind of a holy symbol, but it's not for a church that you recognize at all. And many of you who have grown up here in Uzuthan, this is your first time in Poster. You know, looking around, if you would take, a few seconds, you would see that it matches the holy symbol over the church. But again, it's not a holy symbol that's recognized anywhere else. He begins chanting something and moves over towards Dr. Barnabas and kneels down on one foot. And it is now Sapphire's turn.
Okay, so the ghast kind of got way up on me and started chomping at me, so I'm obviously going to want to try to get out of the ghast reach again.
So this is something, I'll just interrupt for just 1 second. Something you can do, and this may be important as a spellcaster. You can do something called disengaging, where you take your turn to say, no, I'm going to just step away. I'm going to essentially take my turn to move out of your way, so you can't hit me. You can't take an opportunity of attack. I am essentially going to do my very best to get out of the way so you can't hit me. And you would move your distance away from the person. But
so that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, but then you also don't get to attack. But that ensures that then you also wouldn't...
I'd be more likely to live to take another turn.
Exactly. And as a spellcaster, it's something that you would likely do a little more often than most people.
Well, I think you should
So that
explain
sounds like
what an attack of opportunity is, and why she needs to do that.
Right. And in this case, when you're disengaging, normally if you move away from an enemy, they get a swing at you. If you move out of move out of their circle, or move away out of their circle of combat, they get a swing at you because you're basically, moving away from them, so they get an attack. By disengaging, they don't get to do that. You're basically looking for an out. You're taking the time to sort of sneak into their blind spot. so they're not getting to do that. So it saves you that possible attack.
Okay, so that sounds like a good plan, and I will do that.
Okay. So the Ghast is distracted by the mayor and the kerfuffle that comes in, and you're able to sort of sneak away and move back maybe a little more closely to the tavern. Raffle, what would you like to do?
So this Ghast has nobody around it.
Yeah.
How far away is it from me?
I'd say you said when you got down
I
off
landed
of
a ways away,
the roof,
yeah.
you said you landed a ways away. So maybe 40, 45 feet?
Out of foot distance.
Yeah.
Okay. I ready my longsword and I start running over there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stop just short of the Ghast.
Okay.
Or as far as I can get up to it in one movement.
All right. So the Ghast sees you coming, and it moves towards you, and is going to attempt to bite you. And apparently my roll is not going to work. Seriously? Come on. Oh my goodness. Really? Wow. Come on. Okay, come on. Okay. One more time. Okay. 21. Does that hit you?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So it's coming at you with big sharp teeth, doing 8 points piercing damage.
Youch. That's all my points.
All your points. Yeah. So you feel your life force sort of drain away as the Ghast's sharp, pointy, ghastly teeth dig into your poor little birdie body. Vern, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
How far away is Ruffle from me?
I'd say maybe 10, 15 feet away from you, not far.
Okay. I'm going to walk that distance, and I am going to... this is a spell where you have to touch.
Okay.
For it to work, I'm going to Cure Wounds.
Okay.
And because it does not seem to want to do that in Fantasy Grounds, at least for me, I'm going to roll it and just say how many points
That works.
are gained. And it's this dice. So that is going to be 10 points, so you regain all of your hit points, Ruffle.
So,
Thanks.
how we would normally sort of roleplay this is, your body is kind of slumped to the ground as you've been knocked unconscious. When it's your turn, you can then, if you want to, stand up and take half of your movement if you would want to. Since you are right next to the Ghast, you wouldn't be able to disengage. But you could stand up and attack if you wanted to, or you could attack from the ground. There is always the funsies of playing it that way as well. So, Dr. Barnabas, you're laying on the ground, unconscious, maybe for 15 seconds or so. I guess we were probably bleeding for about 40 seconds. When you feel this warmth wash over you, the whispers of a god you've never heard flood into your ears, and a strange sort of green aura kind of flutters into your vision. And you feel sickly, like your body, you're almost looking down on your own body, from above, where you see this all happening. This old guy is kind of, I wouldn't call it laying on hands, because he's really just sort of crouching because he's too old to get down on one knee. But you sort of see this all happening, and you can kind of feel your spirit being pulled back into your body, and you're not quite sure what's happening, but you can see this all kind of playing out before your eyes. And the sound in your ears is kind of this old organ music that you'd kind of hear, like a almost like circusy, like kind of like that weird circus organ. I don't have a sound clip to play for you, but it's just a strange, not like church organ music, but like campy circus organ music. But that is your turn. You can reset your death saving throws. You have 1 hit point. And you will have basically what we consider in the game to be like resurrection sickness. To be where you'll need about 4 or 5 days to recover from what happened. You could probably eat a couple bowls of hazel soup and speed that up, but she'd have to be talked into that. Sapphire, it's your turn. What would you like to do?
Well, I think I will try some magic missile on the guest.
Okay. So I'm not sure why it's rolling just 1d4.
Probably because I dragged it on it instead of trying to double click it or something.
Gotcha. If you want to go
Let's
ahead
see.
and do...
Drag it on it again.
Yeah.
Curveball.
As if we do... Okay. So, I don't know why... This is bothering me too, because the damage counter that I have for the damage that's been done to the ghast and the damage counter that it has in the game are different. Because I wanted to see this thing as well, because yeah, that doesn't make any sense. All right. Vern, it is your turn.
Okay. So I guess Raffle, since he's been resurrected, like we talked about,
sorry.
is
Raffle's
using his
turn.
turn to like get up,
I was
or
gonna say,
Sorry.
don't
My
I get to do the
my
thing?
turn. Yeah, my bad. I keep clicking over and it loses a whole chunk of the combat tracker. My bad.
Okay.
So yeah, you're kind of on the ground in front of the ghast, having been like kind of like lost like 5-6 seconds of
Okay.
of your life to being bitten by a
My
ghast.
bell certainly got rung.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I'm at, full health. So that's good at least. Do I have disadvantage on attack rolls being on the ground?
Nope.
And since Vern is next to me, is Vern also next to this ghast? Or am I in between Vern and the ghast?
I don't know, Vern. How would you say you positioned yourself? Would you have stood next to the ghast, or would you have stood behind?
I would have stood next to the ghast.
Okay. So yeah, then you would have advantage for you're in your sneak attack.
And Do I need any special action to swap from longsword to daggers? Or are we forgoing those actions?
You would have to drop your short bow on the ground.
Okay. Well, I had the longsword out for that one.
Oh, so you'd have to
When I landed, I pulled the longsword out.
So yeah, then you'd have to drop your long sword on the ground. So I would just make a note to remind yourself to make a.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick it up later.
Don't forget it.
I'll drop the longsword, pull out twin daggers, and make a sneak attack with 2-weapon fighting as well.
Okay.
So, let's see. We'll call this one the sneak attack.
That does not hit.
That has a 10 hit.
No.
So advantage gets me a second shot at that, right?
Yep. Does not hit.
Okay. Then the offhand.
Does not hit.
Really? Well, I'm screwed. I guess that's my turn.
Okay. So the gas just sort of tilts its head and reaches both of its claws out at you. A little perturbed that you got back up after it tried so hard to bite you and do away with you. And clearly is not very good at getting its claws into you, as your tiny little bird body just sort of sneaks away.
I learned my lesson.
Right? Vern, it is now your turn. What would you like to do?
Are Ruffle and I flanking the ghast?
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to do this as well. I do need a Constitution saving throw from you, Ruffle, and Vern now.
Okay. Let's see.
Ooh.
That's a 3 for me.
So the stench of the ghast is just overwhelming to you now that you've been here trying to help getting Ruffle back up. Ruffle, you've in your adventures, seen enough. You don't seem to be bothered by it quite as much. But Vern, you're just gagging. So in your attack, you will be attacking with disadvantage.
Okay.
As it's just, you almost feel like you're going to throw up.
Okay. So again, longsword. That was a crit, but that doesn't matter. And so that's going to be a 12.
That's not enough.
Okay.
So the ghast just sort of leans to one side and kind of cackles at you. Dr. Barnabas, what would you like to do?
How close is Vern?
I see you're probably about 15 feet away from the ghast and what's happening.
After standing up, I can't move close enough for cure wounds. I'm going to push the old whatever he is away from me and healing word burn. Let's see, that's 3 and come on, work with me. You can do it. There we go. Hey.
Nice.
There's some hit points back.
Thank you.
It does. It really does. So
I'll and then I'll stand up and start brushing myself off. Give whatever this dude is an angry scowl and move on.
Awesome. He seems thoroughly unimpressed at your lack of appreciation for his ability to save your life. Sapphire, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
Well, I think I'm going to give this fire one last chance to behave on this fight.
Come on, fire!
I don't.
Yay!
Fire. Finally fired.
Fire! Fire!
All right, so let's see what this does.
So your commitment to burning this ghast to the ground is triumphant in your scholarly ways have paid off, and the ghast just seems to disintegrate into the air, and the air kind of floats away into I don't know, it's a necrotic stench of burnt flesh that kind of makes you cough a little, and the ghast's body just kind of floats away into the breeze. So that was a little on the crazy side. Good job, you guys. Only 2 townspeople died. Good job. Good job.
Hey, I could have stayed up on that roof.
Yeah, true story. True story. So the mayor and the priest and the guards are they're clearly very shaken by all of this going on. Marcus and his bride to be are kind of just standing in front of the tavern in just absolute shock of what's happened. Killy turns to Marcus and just says, I can't imagine that what's happening here. And the mayor points at them both and says to the guards, take them into custody, both of them. This is their fault. And the guards, take them into, against their will, take them into the town's stockades. So they haul them into the center of the town and lock them into the stockades. They essentially are going to do everything they can to forbid them from wedding. The mayor is just beside himself. The priest is busying himself with sort of tidying up the bodies that are riddling the town. Another guy comes out with a wheelbarrow to start scooping up remains. What they can do with that? What would you guys like to do as this is going on?
If I was to try to cast a healing spell on Dr. Barnabas, would that have any effect at all, given that he was dead and was resurrected?
It would definitely heal him, seeing as how he's just only has 1 hit point. But
Okay.
he's time is really the only thing is going to save him from resurrection sickness. As I said, Hazel's soup does have some restorative powers beyond what is really probably proper, and that would actually help. But he does really need a nap. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll refrain from doing that then. If it would restore hit points, it sounds like. But
yeah.
Or okay. So actually, if it'll restore hit points, then I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So I'm going to go over to Dr. Barnabas and I'm going to hold out my hand.
So out of combat, this is normally what I would I would do in most of my campaigns is if you're rolling as a healer or someone that's rolling or doing any sort of healing out of combat, is I think it's silly to roll for healing out of combat. You have the time to concentrate on a healing spell out of combat. You're not distracted by the things that are going on. You can take full healing from a healing spell if you're doing it out of combat, if you're taking the time to do that. So
Okay. So that would be 12 hit points, however many of those you need.
apply at will, or whoever will is, I don't know.
Alrighty, so is it just laying on hands? What healing are we talking about? Cure wounds?
It's cure wounds, yeah. So
Okay.
we have to like touch in some sense.
If you would help me apply my bandages, I'm sure that would function in a way that made sense to Burwhisker.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I can definitely help with that.
I appreciate that assistance. And you said it was a max of 12?
Max of 12.
That will get me back up to there. And as soon as I'm up and bandaged and relatively collected, I'd like to at least check on the other people that were out there willing to fight these ugly things. Make sure everybody is okay.
So the townspeople had no interest whatsoever in fighting. There were 2 casualties. Even the guards in the town seemed ill-equipped to fight these. But they seem, like they might have been able to fend them off. But the 2 people that were killed, or they were actually dismembered. So the priest that was able to resurrect you, you've seen priests do these sorts of things before. Your death was caught early enough that it was much easier to do, but dismemberments like what the ghouls and the ghast did to these other people, they're not going to be able to be brought back. So these people, the town is pretty, they're pretty freaked out. So I think most of what you would see is just they're pretty shaken up.
Well, the Gandalf and the mayor seem to have the townsfolk under control.
Yeah.
I was talking more the little bird dude and the gnome.
You're talking about Sapphire and Raffle.
Yes. I don't know their names yet. Well, Burwhisker doesn't. I do. But
well, this whole time, Raffle Mal is chirping and bouncing around this half orc, professing his eternal thanks and gratitude for saving his life. Thank you so much. You saved me. Nobody's ever saved me before.
And I'm just sort of like, it's nothing. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it.
It's fine. This is fine.
It's not nothing. I owe you. I owe you my life. Where are you going?
You owe me
What are you
nothing.
doing here? I'll follow you forever.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
Where are we going, boss? Huh? What? Where are we going, boss?
Can't
Huh?
really say that I know. Right. Say that I know
My name's Raffle.
where
What's yours?
I'm going yet. Fern Turnharp. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, Vern.
It's nice to know your name.
Sapphire stands
glad that I-
looking up at all of. Sapphire stands looking at all of her fellow combatants and says, "Well, that was interesting."
I'm having a serious internal debate as to whether or not to give you guys my business card after that nonsense. Not that you don't deserve it. I don't know if I deserve to give my card to you.
So as this is all going on and the courtyard is being mopped up, the somber feeling of the town sort of washes back over, and you can just sort of hear Marcus and Killy from the stockades in the center of town sort of crying and hollering at each other.
I still don't think I fully understand why any of this has happened. I don't know if any of you have been in this town for longer or would know any more information, but I just gotten here.
I know nothing. Where do these smellies come from?
I just got here too. I was looking for a book.
There's lots of books.
This is a
You're looking
special
for-
book.
Okay. Don't know anything about special books.
But this whole situation, it seems pretty bad.
Yeah.
So as you guys are talking, the mayor makes his way over to you, and he just says, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate what you have done. I'm sorry that you happened to come in. I know you're all fairly new here, as I haven't really seen you around. I've been mayor here for almost 40 years, and we seem to be plagued, and I'm really thankful to you for helping. I just don't know what to do.
You should really put up signs.
Perhaps this is the first attack we've had of this kind of thing. I know that there's a curse on that house on the hill, and I know what happened to Lillian, and I know what happened to Marcus, but this is crazy. This is out of control.
What exactly did happen at the house on the hill besides the deaths of all of these brides, it seems?
Yeah, curse? What curse?
At the house, I can't tell you. All I know is Lillian placed a curse on Marcus over 40 years ago. Marcus has since tried to marry 6 other times, and all of his brides have died on the altar. Usually, traveling folks come in. They quickly fall in love with Marcus. They don't know of his past, and townsfolk, though, try to persuade them to not get involved. They don't listen. Any woman Marcus tries to marry suffers the same fate. All we know is that this happened with Lillian, and she was buried at the mausoleum on the outskirts of town.
Well, did you tell Marcus to stop trying to marry people?
Several times. We grew up together in this town.
And you think this house has something to do with the story?
Lillian's old home is haunted. I've not been there in over 35 years. I don't want to go there. And you know, she's buried out at the mausoleum. That's really all I know.
Every time he says haunted, I louder.
You do what? Psh. Okay. But the townsfolk avoid Widower's Hill, Lillian's old house.
Sapphire stands eyeing the house at a distance dubiously.
I would too. So the mayor thanks you again and says, all I know is if we can keep Marcus and Killy from marrying, we may just save both of their lives. And he sort of wanders back into the tavern. I'm going to have another bowl of soup. Yeah. You guys can hear Marcus and Killy wailing in the stockades in the center of town.
All right, so I'll need to know what the effects of resurrection sickness is.
Do you plan on having any more soup? Resurrection sickness, I believe, is... I'll have to look it up. So essentially, you're gonna suffer a penalty to your attack rolls and your saving throws, which reduces every time you take a long rest. So we'll say that you're currently suffering a -3 penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks. And for every long rest or bowl of soup that you eat, you can erase one of those -1s. Hazel soup is pretty good. So there are a few people inside Hazel's tavern. She's cleaning up. It's pretty somber inside. People are whispering as you guys... I don't know if you guys are going back in the tavern or what you guys want to do at this point. I would say it's probably like 6:30 by this point. 6:45 p.m. as we started, and the mayor came into the tavern at about 6 p.m.
Vern is going to go back into the tavern because he is a bit taken with Hazel.
I would be too. She's pretty awesome.
Especially because she liked his drumming.
Yes.
And so he is definitely going to go back into the tavern and start chatting with her at the bar.
Raffle is going to follow Vern around, making sure to always stay half a room away, staring. Every time Vern glances over, Raffle now looks away quickly.
What? Oh, didn't.
If Vern ever catches Lance, he's going to wave you over to chat. Vern likes new friends.
It's Raffle is being extra special sneaky.
I love it.
Sapphire just likes knowing what's going on and wants more soup, so she'll go back in the tavern too.
Nice. All right, so Dr. Burr-Whisker, what are you doing as these folks rejoin the warmth of Hazel's tavern?
I'm gonna break out my pipe and stay out here for a bit.
Okay.
And be incredibly annoyed at somebody. I don't. It's. I don't like having been touched by this person claiming to be a priest.
Most people don't.
And his gods or whatever he wants to call them.
And his
and
calliope music. Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
And I don't have much appreciation for that kind of thing. So I have to come to terms with it.
Okay. And I don't know how much you want to share about how you feel like your character. I mean, most clerics divine their healing powers from a god of religion. And I think you had mentioned that yours is more of an understanding of science more than anything.
A Burr-Whisker is the consummate skeptic. He doesn't doubt that there are gods. He just doesn't see them as being anything more than powerful beings. The idea that they somehow have domain over other people is not something that he believes or appreciates. So every bit of healing and whatever he does is an extension of what he's learned.
Okay.
So it's not that there aren't gods. It's just he doesn't see them as anything more than really powerful beings exerting their will on people that are just trying to live day to day.
Okay. Fair. So as you're kind of outside just contemplating things, will you give me a perception, please?
I can try.
This would be with a -3.
With a -3.
Yeah, your ability checks. Because of your resurrection sickness. But you can roll and we can figure it out in the whatever.
It just reduces the here. I can. God damn it! My patience for this program is.
I know.
It's slipping so quickly. That should do it.
Okay.
So all it did was negate the plus that I usually. Yeah.
So um, you hear a blacksmith, um, who, um, was sort of like on the opposite side. Like, so there was the tavern, the jeweler that Raffle had jumped up on um, the roof of, and then the blacksmith that was next to the tavern move out of their closing up shop, walking over to the stockades. Um, is actually unlocking the stockades. Um, isn't a guard. Um, uh, and is essentially letting Marcus and Killy out of the stockades.
All right.
He's not trying to hide it. He's being pretty obvious.
I will watch on. I mean, what these weird people do with their town is their business.
Okay.
It's just still fighting with the fantasy grounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, while he smokes his pipe, which to anybody watching is the stem on it is so long. I mean, it's basically at the end of his dwarven arm. So it's just this really long church warden style pipe. And he'll turn an eye up to the so-called haunted house, since this is an extension of his business.
Okay.
And start processing the various notes and stuff that he's made so far about the town and what's going on.
So as you look on, you see a house that appears to once have been could have been a fairly beautiful home. Most of the homes here seem to be in fairly good repair. The town is, as you know, this area to be, it's a huge pass through for through the local towns. It's a fairly small, population wise, a fairly small town, but there's a lot of foot traffic that comes through here. But the town itself is fairly well kept. It might be a little rudimentary, but the shops are nice. This particular home, the wood is rotted, the paint is peeling away, and you can sort of see vines growing up on the wood, and it seems out of place now that you're taking a closer look at it. It's really only maybe another 150 maybe meters from where you stand, and you can kind of see the front door kind of leans half open, just sort of leans the frame. The front door just sort of leans half open.
And where's the cemetery in relationship to the house?
So the old graveyard and mausoleum.
Do you have that little map?
Yeah.
I saw it briefly, but
Let me open it up. It's up on the stream. I can share it with you guys if you need to see it. So, we are in 3, the area here. The house is sort of north, just outside of out of the gates here, and the temple where is where the mausoleum would be.
All right.
So this is about all the time that we scheduled for today's adventure. And this seems like a fairly good place to stop and pick up next time. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to do before we wrapped up, or any other questions that you guys had before we pause for today?
I'm all set.
I'm good.
All right. Well,
I'm
thanks.
fine as well.
Thanks, you guys.
That was a blast.
That was super fun.
Hopefully things go a little smoother next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Things
do
go well.
quite a bit more research on Fantasy Grounds and see if I can friggin' figure out what the heck I'm doing wrong as far as rolling for bad guys and the maps and stuff. So we can maybe use this program that I'm paying for, because that'd be nice.
I'd be game for some rolling and testing, practicing.
Okay. I've watched
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
watched a couple of their videos, and I just, like, most of it was, like how to drag and drop and do the attacking stuff, but like they seem to just assume that you knew how to pull up the maps and